everybody, thanks so much for listening. We do have Wendy Leonard on again, Rhode Island Nutritional Therapy. She's been on, this is her second time, I should say.
Yep.
And we're going to talk more about vaccine. Well, we're not really going to talk about the vaccine. We're going to talk more so about diet and how she's helping people in general. So we'll say that we don't want to get censored as the interview starts. So Wendy, thanks so much for coming back on. I appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Rob. Absolutely.
You know, I'm looking forward to working with you on hopefully getting somewhat of my life back in order. So, you know, throughout the podcast, I will kind of give an update since we're working together now and our first appointment is coming up fairly soon. But to get into the interview, me personally, I'll only speak for myself, and we are not against vaccines here. I have to say this as a disclaimer. And if you want to get any kind of vaccine, you know, more power to you. God bless you. I am for vaccines. Personally, I just had an adverse reaction to the COVID-19 vaccine. And we've been hearing people have been having these reactions to the vaccine. It might be a small group, but time will tell as we keep doing this research by the scientists and the doctors. Wendy, now you're treating a lot of people that have had issues personally with COVID or the COVID-19 vaccine. What are you seeing from the people that you're treating with these issues?
Yeah, so I mean, I have to say, like, a lot of people are, you know, absolutely fine.
Right.
But there are definitely a handful of people who, and some of them have come in specifically because of something that had happened after the vaccine, and sometimes after having COVID too. Like even for myself, I had COVID. I still don't have my sense of smell and taste fully back. So it's a little, you know, upsetting. But some things that I've had are, you know, like GI reflux issues. That's a big one that has come about, and, you know, really having some changes with digestion that's affecting their quality of life. So with one patient in particular, she was actually fine after having the first vaccine and the second vaccine, but it was it was a booster that did something to her. And so with that patient, it was interesting in looking at, she actually did a food sensitivity test to look at IgG and complement. So kind of like the cells lining the digestive tract and how they were reacting in an immune type of reaction to foods and additives and herbs, spices, etc. And so we had some like personalized data on her to know that she had a reaction to polysorbate 80, and that was in the booster shot that she had when we looked at the ingredients. So a lot of people like do have a reaction to some of these additives that are in, you know, our food or toothpaste and things like that. Unless you do a test, you don't really know unless you're like immediately having some reaction. But in this case, it was injected into her and then has caused some problems. So the way that we've been working with her is calming down the immune system and, you know, really working on calming the cells of the GI tract down.
Does that stuff like the polysorbate 80 eventually go out of your body, or is that something that stays in for quite a good amount of time, I guess? Yeah.
So, I mean, it will go out of your body. You will, you know, just like anything that kind of comes into your body, you're going to eventually like filter it out. It's an additive, right? It's like an emulsifier. So it's making something that would be like, you know, 2 layers when you look at the liquid, and it's actually blending it together. So it's like one, you know, even liquid. So they're using these different things in there, which don't necessarily have anything to do with the vaccine. It's just an additive that person is having a reaction to. So yes, it will get, you know, eventually make its way out of the body. But what it did was just kind of cause this, like, you know, this immune reaction for her, which caused a lot of like reflux and just digestive problems. Once you have the reflux, then you start, you know, your doctor says start taking antacid or a proton pump inhibitor, and then that affects GI stuff from the the stomach down. So we've had to kind of reverse some of those, those things that had already kind of perpetuated, but really focusing on the immune system. But I would say mostly I see like digestive issues, like just because I'm a dietitian. So a lot of people have like gone to the GI doctor or the primary care and haven't really been, haven't really found a medicine that helps, or diagnostic testing isn't showing anything. And so they're like, well, like maybe a dietitian can help, because it does seem, food related maybe. So that's where I'm finding, a lot of people are having problems, or they had GI issues. They were doing better because we cleaned up the diet and eliminated some food sensitivities. And then they had another vaccine that kind of like, they ended up taking a few steps back with their digestion. So then you're, rebuilding that again. And so those are kind of what I'm seeing related to the vaccine.
So, that with people that, there's a lot of people, and again, we are not against vaccines here. We believe in vaccines. I personally always got my flu shot, had no problems with that. Just for me personally, I've had an issue with the COVID-19 vaccine. So I'm not anti-vax because I did get vaxxed. So no one can say that. And we'll move forward with this. For the people that want to get vaccinated for their first or second or third or fourth, or God knows, whatever it is.
Yeah.
What should they do to kind of calm down that immune response that may spike? And we all know that if you have got the COVID-19 shot, you may have had a fever or the sore arm or other side effects, dizziness, anxiety, who knows? Yeah. How can we calm that down?
Yeah. So, just even this one patient, that had the reaction to the polysorbate 80 or to the vaccine, and she still for work had to get another vaccine, and she was so nervous about it. So, so what we did, regardless of what ingredients were in there, we had a protocol, and it's really based on like setting your body up so that it doesn't overreact to the virus, right? So, or the vaccine. So we started on glutathione, which is like a natural, the body makes glutathione. It's the body's way of naturally detoxing. Sometimes we need a little help, especially if we've got maybe more toxins, we're putting something into our body that isn't natural. So I had her take glutathione, just like a liposomal. So you put it under the tongue. You can buy those online. I really like research nutritionals. So you put that under the tongue. So I had her doing that every day for a week prior to when she was going to get the vaccination. And then 2 days before, I had her just take like an antihistamine, like a Benadryl. So she was taking that, 2 days prior. So she took that. It was every 24 hours until she had it the day of the vaccine, did it, and then 2 days after, just to kind of cover, like, so that she wasn't having a reaction. I had her continue on the glutathione for, the week before and then the week after. So just to cover her a bit. And, really she didn't have any reaction with that next one. So I think it has a lot to do with like, just like keeping that inflammatory response down. I have another practitioner colleague who also recommends like just taking Advil or like a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory too. In this case, she already had kind of GI issues and reflux. I didn't want to add an NSAID. So we just did that, and that seemed to work for her. So, and that was based on just kind of research and looking at the immune response and just kind of setting the body up so that it doesn't overreact, and then covering yourself afterwards too. So some of these things we're still practicing. I mean, it's a new vaccine that is causing some, issues for some people. So we're just kind of trying to figure it out. But if you think about the mechanism of why the body might be reacting, and then treating it that way and protecting yourself.
So for somebody that's having issues, maybe that's like me, I'll just say, that's having issues, and we've talked about our issues, and a lot of the people listening know my issues in general. But regardless of that, for a person that's having issues now, can you still do things to cool down their body? Are you working with people now that maybe they've had issues for 10, 12, 13 months?
Yeah. So, I mean, just thinking of another patient who had come in, had a lot of GI issues. This was before the vaccine. Really wasn't like digesting and absorbing and metabolizing food in any normal way. A lot of reasons. Had like this patient had a appendectomy, but the appendix had already ruptured and there was sepsis in his system. So we had to have part of his bowel removed, and a big portion of it. So there was a lot of like infection, but then also, part of the intestine, a big portion of the intestine had been removed. So we kind of had to, like, at this point, we're rebuilding his GI tract with, a lot, like I always use aloe vera, like a 100% distilled aloe vera, which helps like calm and heal the cells. So we had done that. I'd added digestive enzymes and added a probiotic. And then we'd even added some glutamine and some other things that kind of repair the gut. So we'd gotten him where he was like, and diet stuff too. Like gluten was something that was a trigger for him. So we got him off gluten, and he was drinking a little too much. So we did like cleaned up the diet quite a bit. And he was at a really good place, like 100%, like most of the time. And then had the vaccine and ended up like coming back in like a month later and said that he hadn't gone back to the way it was before, but it took another month to restore him back to that 100% every day. So we had to kind of rework on like, just, refocusing. And then he did heal again. So it was possible, but, sometimes it is like some diet changes because the body does react to certain foods more than others, like gluten, dairy, soy, eggs are kind of at the top of the list in general. So sometimes we'll like clean up the diet a little bit. And, there's lots of different things that we can do, but, and even for myself, right? Like I after having COVID, like I lost my sense of smell and taste. And it's, like I said, this was back over Christmas and it's still not 100%. And what's more upsetting is I can't smell the bad things. I'm like, does my house smell? Do I smell? Like it's not even the good stuff that I miss. It's like the bad stuff. So, but anyway, but the interesting piece about this is I will sometimes do like fasting mimicking diets with patients, and I've done it with myself too. So it's not a pure fat, like water fast where you're going 24, 48, 72 hours with nothing but water and maybe some electrolytes. But this is actually like a 5-day fasting mimicking diet where you're consuming between 700 and 1100 calories, plant, mostly vegetarian. You're taking some supplements, you've got your electrolytes, you're drinking lots of water, you're cleaning out alcohol, sugar. It's whole foods. There's no polysorbate 80 in there, and there's no like preservatives or anything. But in doing this, you do some, like with fasting, you are reducing inflammation in the body. You're doing something called autophagy, which is basically like renewing your cells. It's like cleaning out all the junk in the cells. And there's so many benefits. There's a lot of GI cleansing going on, and you can see the inflammation in their face go down. They're sleeping better. Pain is down just in doing. So this is 5 days where you get the benefits of a water fast, but you're not stressed because you're consuming some calories. So interestingly enough, in doing that, on day 3, I had my smell and taste back, and I had it through day 10 of that. So even after my fast was over on day 5, I had another 5 days. And then when I went back to my regular eating, it went right back to where it is now.
Wow.
And so it was really interesting. And like, it's hard to fast, I mean, like, so sometimes like as a human being, you weigh out, like I could keep fasting, maybe once a month, or bring some of those aspects more into my diet. But fasting is difficult, so, but it does show us that on day 3, that's like, even for myself, that's when inflammation and that autophagy, inflammation goes down. Autophagy is really at the highest mark for fasting at that point. And, my smell and taste came back. So there are changes going on in the body and with the cells, with inflammation that, we really can see, well, what's going on, whether it was the virus or, the vaccine with this inflammation. If we do make some changes, we can heal.
Right. Last question. I want to talk about diet quickly before we end, because I know we're running out of time. As far as diet goes, because we go back to these people that, and I know these people, they're under the psychosis about getting their 4th and their 5th and their 6th and their 7th COVID shot. And again, I'm not against you getting the shot. There are a lot of people with health conditions in this country, and that should be between you and your doctor and your God or whatever you believe in to make that correct decision. So I just want to keep stating that so YouTube does not censor this video, because they have been censoring a lot of these videos. So we'll move forward with that. So talking about diet, for people that are really trying to focus on their diet right now, personally me, I can't get the shot again. I've had some serious side effects that really have debilitated my life for the past 13 months. And I will not be getting the COVID shot, not because I don't want to, but because it's really debilitated and I had that adverse effect. Right. So what would you tell somebody like me and many other people that are listening that maybe they don't want to get the vaccine, it's their personal choice, or they had an adverse effect to the vaccine, or maybe they just have an issue with the long haul COVID issue? What should they be doing to be, as far as eating and things that they should putting in their body, drinks, whatever it may be, to help them be successful in life and get better physically, emotionally, and mentally?
Yeah. Yeah. So it always comes back to like the basics, right? So, when it comes to food, you want to focus on whole foods, right? So the least amount of processing that this food that you're about to put into your mouth has had from the time it was, grown out in the trees or the bushes or on the crop fields to the time it's in front of you and you're consuming it. The least amount of steps and least amount of ingredients added. Get back to like where the source of the food and have whole foods. So try to stay away from a lot of the processed products that are, all over the grocery store. Try to limit sugar and artificial sweeteners, like stay away from sucralose and aspartame. Don't even use like fat-free products. Get like the real thing. If it has some fat in it, it's okay. So I would say like focus on those phytonutrients. Phytonutrients are vitamins, minerals, antioxidants that are found naturally in foods, plant foods, especially. So think of the colors of the rainbow. So you have green spinach, you have red cabbage, you have black olives, you have orange peppers. Try to get a spectrum because those phytonutrients are doing a job. They may not be turning into like energy, like glucose so that you can run, but they're providing different cofactors that help us fight disease and protect our body. So I would say try to eat as many of those as you can. And as far as like animal protein, like I eat animal protein. If you're going to have it, make sure you look at the source. Where is that coming from? What did they feed that, cow or chicken? So try to stay away from anything pumped full of hormones and antibiotics. We're on the food chain. We don't need those in our bodies. Try to do, organic or, pasture raised eggs, etc. Grass-fed beef. Look at the source. That's really important. And beyond that, lots of like nice, clean water. Try to limit alcohol. A little bit is okay, but it still is a toxin until our liver converts it into something non-toxic. So, and sugar, too many carbs that are making us gain weight. Like listen to your body. Think of your body as like you only get one. This is all you've got. Just take care of it as best as you can.
So I have a sugar addiction, but it's not with sugar that you would think. It's sugar with fruit. Is that a bad problem to have, or is it good?
Yeah, no, I mean, fruit is great, but it still turns into glucose and you can still have too much of it. So that can raise, not just glucose, but then your insulin levels. It can still feed into, diabetes, metabolic disease, and ultimately heart disease. So it can turn into too many triglycerides in your liver, and that makes it hard for you to detox. So like some fruit is good, but you still have to watch the portions. Don't get a big fruit like smoothie or juice, like 20 different servings of fruit. Your blood sugar is going to shoot up. Your insulin's going to shoot up. You will gain weight. You're not going to feel good. So yeah, you still have to watch your sugar intake or your fruit intake.
We're going to have to work on that through sessions. As far as that. But anyways, Wendy, it's always a pleasure talking to you. I'm happy we're going to be working together. And if it's okay with you, I will be giving updates, if possible, on how my journey is going through this process of trying to detox my body, get it better in general. And hopefully everything will go well. And eventually I will feel, look, and be better in general. So with your help.
Yep. I'm happy to help. Yep.
All right, Wendy. And where can people find more about you guys and, social media, website, whatever it may be?
Yep. So just our website's probably the best resource. So it's rinutritiontherapy.com. You can book on there. You can learn more about our different programs. But we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Instagram. We have a TikTok. We have a podcast too.
Nice.
Yeah, so we do a lot of things, and we have 2 dietitians, a health coach, personal trainer, bar instructor, and then we have another dietitian coming on board soon. We just have to credential her. But yeah, so we love it. It's a lot of great people working at Rhode Island Nutrition Therapy. So yeah, come our way.
A lot going on at Rhode Island Nutritional Therapy. Look forward to working with you, Wendy, and thanks so much for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. All right, have a good night.